The German government has expressed deep concern about a rise in anti-Semitic incidents since the October 7th terror attacks carried out by Hamas against Israel. Germany's Commissioner for Anti-Semitism presented what he called shocking figures in a new report.
Felix Klein is the man leading the fight against anti-Semitism in Germany. And by his own account, he has his work cut out. Since the October 7th Hamas terror attack, an alarming picture has emerged.
Looking more closely at the shocking numbers, more than 2,000 times within little more than 100 days, here in Germany, a Jew was attacked, threatened, insulted, frightened, or there was anti-Semitic hate speech. I am appalled that these facts only rarely find their way into public debate and media reporting.
That's around the same number of incidents as for the whole of 2022. Among them, a Molotov cocktail thrown at this synagogue in central Berlin. For many, a grim reminder of Germany's Nazi past. But Jewish leaders say much of the daily threat now is driven by opponents of Israel.
These stories are reminiscent of those days, and we need empathy with those affected in order to stop this development. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, this is especially true of the threat of Islamist anti-Semitism in our society.
But not only. Recent nationwide protests against the far-right Alternative for Germany have drawn huge crowds, sparked by reports that AfD members discussed a plan to forcibly deport millions of people of foreign origin. The AfD flying high in the polls.
The AfD and others with their ethnically motivated expulsion plans cannot be an electable alternative for responsible citizens and Democrats. Their program is right-wing extremist, anti-democratic and a threat to prosperity.
Officials are calling on the government to tighten criminal laws and increase funding for education. But above all, their message to Germans is not to forget.
European lawmakers in Brussels marked International Holocaust Remembrance Day with a formal address by Holocaust survivor Irene Shachar. The 86-year-old was born in Poland and lived through the horrors of the Warsaw Ghetto under Nazi occupation. She spoke to DW correspondent Jack Perrick about her speech and her experiences.
Irene Shachar, you've been here in the European Parliament today speaking to members of a full house of the European Parliament who came to listen to you speak to mark International Holocaust Remembrance Day. What's been your message to them as a Holocaust survivor yourself?
My message to them was that I feel at this moment, coming from Israel, of course, as a survivor, that even though, I went through what I went and the misery and everything, that I survived. And I survived for a better life. I survived for enjoying freedom and understanding and relations and fraternity and equality and liberty and everything else. And then suddenly my country is in war and we have to sit on the ground, we have to hide so that the bombs don't fall. We have to move out of our homes. Unbelievable. And then I feel, anti-Semitism coming from different parts of the world, from Europe, So I really appreciate the fact that my message was to go ahead and prevent all these, these rivalries that exist among people. And let's come together like Europe did, united Europe, and be brothers, be sisters. Let's have the generation flourish and develop, and peace
Peace certainly is not what's happening in the Middle East right now. It's extremely complicated. European citizens are very worried about what's happening, both from an anti-Semitism point of view, but also for the conditions of people in Gaza. Do you think a day like International Holocaust Remembrance Day can shed light on sort of the plight or the need for peace and what can be done there?
Look, our anthem is Hatikva, and Hatikva means hope. Jack, our hope, the only thing we can do and the best we can do is to hope. How much does a Remembrance Holocaust Day ceremony can change anything in the global? I'm not naive and I don't believe it can be done. But if my message went through the mind, the soul of at least one person in 705 European Parliament members, I've done my job. I've spoken in the name of 1.5 million children like myself that perished in the Holocaust.
Exactly. You were a child in the Warsaw Ghetto, which is why, a lot of Holocaust survivors are no longer with us, but you are. But I'm
the youngest generation, I would say, of Holocaust survivors, yes. Although yesterday I read about a Holocaust survivor at the age of 112.
Right, but soon there won't be many left carrying this message of peace. What does that, just very briefly, what does that make you feel? How can the message of Holocaust prevention be carried once the survivors may no longer be with us? That's
why I am engaged in the last, I would say, 40 years in speaking to the youngsters, in speaking to the next generations, in trying to get that heavy burden that I carry with me as a survivor to the next youngsters that will carry on the message, never again, because what happened in the Holocaust cannot ever, ever repeat itself.
Irene Shesha, thank you so much for speaking to us on DW.
You're welcome.